we create through our core beliefs and perspectives how we see things. In other words, how we experience the outer world is a mirror reflection of our inner world. Mm-hmm. So how people perceive us in conflicts is a reflection of them. Mm-hmm. How we respond to them is an understanding of ourselves.
Welcome to the Focal Flip Podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Focal Flip Podcast. This is episode number 21. Guess who's back? You know it, Psychology of the Soul, Origin of Thought guy, John McNeely. What's up, my man?
How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. So you've seen some of the other episodes I've popped out?
I have.
Yeah? What's your thoughts so far on Focal Flip,
They're
man?
very good. I think it's getting to the root of the stigma of mental health, not only the negative, but the positive.
Good, man. That's been the goal.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming and helping me alongside the whole mission.
My pleasure.
It's been huge. We've been getting some really cool views on a lot of your episodes, and you have some really good content and some great information that you put out there. So I appreciate you and saying yes each time. Okay. So that's going to get me into our intro for this episode. Focal Flip, it's a life-changing, transformative shift in perspective. You'll hear perspective a lot. You'll hear mental a lot. You'll hear the mind a lot. The cool thing about the phone ringing is awesome, isn't it?
It is.
So the cool thing about the perspective, today's episode will be on the power of it. So today's episode is titled The Power of Perspective. John, can I rip right into the first one? Or do you have anything you'd like to touch on?
Rip away.
Okay. So we'll go right into the first question here. Awareness has been a big thing for me in my journey and my growth. So the very first rip from the rip is, how does cultivating self-awareness influence our ability to see situations from multiple perspectives?
This is a more complex question than you may think. And what makes it complex is the word self-awareness. I think what we really need to do before we go any farther is break down, where do our perspectives come from? And just like the origin of thought, they come deep within us. So starting at the beginning, in childhood, we start to develop what's called core beliefs. Mm-hmm. And these core beliefs determine how we view ourselves and the world around us. But we're not always conscious of those core beliefs. A core belief could be something negative, like I am not worthy of love, or that I'm not smart enough, or that the people I love always leave me. You know, now you can have more benign and positive core beliefs, like life is a wonderful gift. Whatever these core beliefs are, we're not conscious of them. But where perspectives come from is that our attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives will always support the core belief. In other words, if I have a core belief that life is cruel and unfair, my attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives will always support that core belief. And I will see life as cruel and unfair. And I will believe what I see because I see what I believe. That's the power of core beliefs and perspectives, is that they create our world.
Yeah. So so are beliefs the same thing as values then, in your opinion?
They can be.
Okay.
They can be.
Explain.
It depends. Well, it depends. Your core belief can be positive or negative. So the value can be negative or positive.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. This is deep stuff, John.
It's going to go deeper.
All right, hone me back in on this. How does cultivating self-awareness influence the ability to see the situation?
Because until we have self-awareness, we're like a puppet dancing on a string to whatever core beliefs and their driven perspectives direct us.
I gotcha.
So without self-awareness, you are driven by core beliefs and perspectives, believing it's circumstance and fate, but it's really our inner creation, whether positive or negative. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's powerful.
It's a deep
stuff,
one,
man.
It's a deep one when you wrap your head around it.
Okay, then let's flip it. Let's go into the next one. How does emotional awareness play a role in understanding differing viewpoints during conflicts?
See, now this is another really interesting question, because as I explained in the previous question, we create through our core beliefs and perspectives how we see things. In other words, how we experience the outer world is a mirror reflection of our inner world. Mm-hmm. So how people perceive us in conflicts is a reflection of them. Mm. How we respond to them is an understanding of ourselves.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah. So then how do you increase emotional awareness with that? So, like for me, I understand that. If I were to be in conflict and someone were to respond in a particular way, I know deep down that our conversation could have triggered something, but that emotional reaction does tell me that something is going on deeper inside them.
Absolutely.
As well, because I know we're all human, but a lot of folks can't see that because the emotion's so overwhelming.
Well, and
you know what I'm saying? Like it's such a dominating force.
Again, you go back to self-awareness. Once you become aware of your own darkness and your own fears and your own delusions, that's the best way with dealing with the delusions and fears of others.
Yeah. So,
for example, when someone lashes out at me, someone who is not self-aware is going to get defensive and lash back.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you've got two people who are not self-aware being driven by fears they cannot see.
Yeah.
Right? So once you understand your own fears and your own darkness, when someone lashes out at me, my first instinct isn't defensive. I immediately see their fears and their wounds because I understand my own.
Ooh.
So it's as if when someone lashes out at me, it's like a wounded dog snapping at me. I'm not going to kick a dog and retaliate at a dog because it's wounded. Right? I understand the dog is wounded and I have some empathy and compassion for that animal.
Yeah.
And it's the same with people.
Wow.
I don't have to react unconsciously to my own fears and my own insecurities.
Yeah.
Now we've got chaos and conflict that we're creating for reasons we cannot see.
So then how do you, I love that answer. How do you respond in those situations when someone is emotionally overreacting or emotionally, responding? Like, do you look at that and does it initially like bother you or do you snap back, at first with like a hard truth, or like how do you handle that? I mean, obviously they're situational, right?
It depends on your level of self-awareness. And again, by discovering all your own wounds and fears, when someone lashes out at you, you can treat them with empathy and see the underlying fear that's driving it, comfort that, and the conflict is removed.
Right, but don't over empathize. You should always be try to be safe and secure.
Of course,
right?
of course. Yeah.
That's how I would too. I would empathize.
Right.
But I'm also very protective.
Well, that's another layer of our instincts. We're not going to throw ourselves in front of a moving bus if someone is chaotic and irrational.
Right.
But if someone can hear you, and you can comfort those fears instead of engaging in conflict, In many ways, you can be a healer.
Keep talking.
Well, I mean, it just depends on how aware you are of yourself, right?
Yeah. Awesome. I love that.
Right.
Number 3, in what ways can storytelling promote awareness and shift perspectives? Storytelling.
Storytelling is the key word in that. And what
I was going to say, define that.
Well,
for me.
I will. What I've come to realize through this process is that we don't experience life. We experience the story we tell ourselves about life. And that story can be wondrous or it can be miserable, right? And the story is really the creator of our heavens and our hells. I've had people come to me and they've explained what a bad day they've had, right? And they go in incredible detail about how awful this is and how brutal this is and how unfair this is, and they'll go on and on and on. And when they pause, I'll often say, "That's a horrible story. Who told you that?" And then if people have any awareness at all, they'll realize that they are living the story they're telling, driven by their own attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives, which are oftentimes driven by selfishness and fear and delusions and traumas.
Sure.
Right? So our core beliefs and our perspectives is the creator of our story. But the question then becomes, what is the creator of my beliefs and perspectives? Yeah. And that's why we have to dive deep within ourselves and find out exactly who or what is creating our story.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on that too?
Well, I mean, it just ties back into core beliefs and perspectives being the originator of our story. What is the creator of our beliefs and perspectives? Is it rooted in trauma? Is it rooted in unprocessed fears and emotions? What is it rooted in? What is the creator of my story?
Yeah. Wow. It's good stuff, John.
Yeah.
It really is. So, what are the consequences of a lack of awareness in shaping our experience of life?
The consequences are that either you continue to dance like a puppet on a string, being pulled by forces you cannot see, and being an unwilling participant in the depths of hell, having no idea why you're there, and blaming everything else around you as the cause. It can lead you into a hell that many cannot even begin to imagine. And until you realize that your core beliefs and your attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives are the origins of your heaven and hell, you're basically just blaming circumstance and fate for all the misery you're self-manufacturing. That's a dramatic consequence of not being self-aware.
Yeah. You know that firsthand, don't you?
I know that by experience, and I'm lucky I survived my own hand enduring it.
Yeah, I know.
That was the depths of the hell I created.
Yeah. And this month, is hits home for both of us. It's kind of suicide prevention month.
Yeah.
We both have had those words and thoughts in our minds and head for a while, and it's interesting because it is. I look at the way that I grew up and the way that I encountered things and the way I experienced things and the way I heard things, the way I listened to things, and it basically crafted my own belief.
Yep.
And then as I got older, I started to just have this encounter.
Right.
Through my own pain and struggle, that has now given me the ability to see things from a different light and shift that perspective. I'm glad you touched on the consequences. The consequences they're bad.
They can't be.
I mean, I dealt with so many of them, and I wish I didn't, but it's given me a level of awareness. It's given you a level of awareness, and that's what I want to do through our message is to help folks have awareness. And that's not necessarily an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
I bring up multifaceted a lot. Everything with this is multifaceted because in life, from my own experiences, you have to learn how to balance it. There has to be equal, and there's an understanding that goes behind that. But,
and I think the things that we talk about here, I think it's hard for many to fully wrap their head around what it is we're actually saying.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is go out at night and look up at the sky, the stars in the heavens. Feel the awe and wonder of what it is you're actually looking at.
Yeah.
But you're not experiencing the stars. You can't experience a star. You're experiencing yourself. You're experiencing the attitudes and outlooks and perspectives towards that. You're experiencing
what you
you
see.
are the creator of all the joy and wonder, just as much as you are the creator of all your misery and suffering. And that's, I think, the hardest thing for people to wrap their heads around. How we experience the outer world is a mirror reflection of our inner world.
Yeah.
If we're full of chaos and pain and fear, we're going to experience a chaotic, miserable world.
Yeah.
We are the sole creators, not of the situations that happen to us, but how we experience them.
Yeah.
Whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether we look at things with gratitude, tolerance, and acceptance, or whether we look at things with selfishness and fear and self-pity.
Yeah.
That's what we experience ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
We create all the meaning,
I can
all
see
the
that.
beauty in life.
Then how do you calm someone's inner world? How are someone to cause? Because like the way I look at it, I'm a visual person. I see chaos and those kind of things. All right. The only way I think of how you can calm that is therapy, man. Like, counseling. You have to go visit it.
I mean, with self-awareness, you have no choice but to take the journey alone and dive deep within yourself. But things that we can do to help others through their suffering is to help them look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah, different light.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate your car broke down, but what a gift that you have a car. It's just something that simple.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my gratitude thing.
And the most amazing thing about it is that the things that torture us most are our blessings. We'll complain about our jobs or our kids or our spouse, and those are our greatest gifts.
Man, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find yourself. I've found myself doing that before too.
Right.
Stinking thinking,
Right?
where it's like, what a blessing
Look at the
that we have.
Look at the pain we endure when we lose a loved one. I mean, that is probably the rawest of pain, losing a loved one.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, you're in grief.
But from another perspective, how blessed are we to have loved someone so much that it hurts so bad when they're gone?
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole flip of that perspective.
Do we cry because it's over, or do we smile because it happened?
Yeah. Yeah. That's that focal flip, man.
Yeah.
It really is. That's where I've caught myself in my emotional moments, like you mentioned, with death
Yeah.
and with grief, where I would, be incredibly emotional and angry because I was robbed of that person or that, that pet or whatever. It's just, it's interesting to have that perspective and just be overwhelmed with that amount of emotion, but then following that amount of emotion, becomes a sense of relief.
Right.
You know?
We forget how blessed we truly are.
Yeah.
And how beautiful the gift of life really is.
Yeah.
And yet we'll complain about life, our greatest gift. And we're complaining about life because we're creating the negativity in life.
Yeah, the negative,
because of our attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives.
It's the negativity bias is a serious thing. It's a real thing.
If I have anything that irritates me left in life, it's listening to people's negative biases. It's just because I see that they're manufacturing their own misery.
Yeah. Do you think you come across as being negative or dark?
Again, how people perceive me as a reflection of them.
Y'all see that?
So I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
So this whole episode, basically, it's awareness's impact on perspective. That the awareness thing has become such a vital part of my recovery. But not only that, it has been an integral part of life.
It is what creates life. It's
man.
our attitudes, outlooks, perspectives, and beliefs.
It's been something that it's blown me away. That way of changing my thoughts and that perspective shift has made me a much gentler person.
Right.
And it's incredible how it works because you can shake people in the core. I was coaching someone, and this is like off. I wasn't like under contract or anything, but I was coaching someone, and we were in the midst of something that was very difficult, and they were like talking about all the negative stuff, the negativity bias and all these things. And I'm just sitting here hanging on it. And I'm like, all right, how am I going to focal flip this one? Right. And immediately I started with that positive and the positive and the positive and the positive. And interestingly enough, the positive started to completely overwhelm the negative. Yet the one negative thing that would come out of all the negatives would still be harped on amongst all the positives. And so that's like that negativity bias where it's like you're so consumed by that. It's just a fascinating thing.
That's beliefs driving attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives towards a negative bias.
Yeah. Yeah. So then positivity. I mean, the way to counteract those things are with the opposite, correct?
I mean,
What's your thought?
Your attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives create all the beauty and all the ugliness we experience in reality. In reality, there is no such thing as beauty and ugliness. In reality, things just simply are. We are the sole creators of all the meaning in life. One of my favorite quotes is by Carl Jung. It says, "It appears the sole purpose of human existence is to create a spark of meaning in the darkness of mere being." We are the sole creators of all of our heavens, our hells, our beauty, our ugliness, our joy, and our misery, based on our core beliefs driving our attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives towards those things we experience.
Yeah, for sure. How do we flip them positive? How do we help the people that are chaotic inside here? How can they help them?
All I know is how I helped myself, and my suffering became so horrendous that I no longer wanted to suffer. And through this process of self-realization and becoming self-aware, and I realized that I was the sole creator of all my misery, I absolutely refused to continue creating my own misery. And every time that I encountered something that disturbed me, I merely looked for different ways to look at it. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's that deceptively simple. But the mind's greatest weakness is its own certainty of what it thinks, believes, and feels is true. And it's not true. It's a creation of our core beliefs and our attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives, which can be either wondrous or miserable.
We got to make them wondrous. John?
Unless you prefer to suffer.
Yeah, no,
It's that
suffered enough.
simple. It's that simple.
No, I mean, suffered enough.
Yes,
Done.
yeah, I've suffered a lifetime.
Brother, that's the thing, is we both have suffered it. And it's like, now we've experienced it, and like, I want it so bad for everybody else, but I know that they're going to have to literally die to their self and finally, and it's so tough
Sometimes
to
people,
try and coach and love and listen people through it sometimes, because but they have to go through it themselves, like
sometimes
it's a
the answer.
challenging inner problem for me.
Sometimes the answer for people is that they have to suffer so much that they can't possibly suffer anymore. Sometimes that's the breaking point it takes to start diving into yourself and finding out who or what is creating your suffering.
Yeah.
And if you dive deep enough, you'll come to the realization, the self-awareness that it is you creating your suffering.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, and with this month too, it's like, thank God we're still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you had a gun in your mouth at one point.
Yeah.
I was at a point where I was so many shots deep. The liver, all that stuff was, I could literally was too scared to take my own life, but I was like trying to kill me.
Right.
I was cool if I didn't wake up.
Right.
And you get to this stuff on the suicide things, and it's just like it hurts me. It kills my heart, because like I get angry about that stuff. But then we look at this. Your pain and your suffering is something like, you're valuable, you're loved, you are an amazing human being.
And there's so much to be grateful for.
There's incredible amount to be grateful for. So instead of taking that way out, there is a way in.
Yeah.
There's a way in. And if you go in and start to like dive everything in, cut it down, understand you, what you'll realize is you become this juggernaut with community and fellowship and love and union, spirituality,
I firmly believe with all of my soul that until you dive deep within yourselves and find the origins of your darkness, you'll never find your light. There's a great quote by Joseph Campbell. He says, "You yourself are your creator. If you find from within yourself that thing that brought this thing about, you will be able to live with it and affirm it, perhaps even enjoy it as your life." We need to dive deep within ourselves and find out the creator of all of our pain and suffering and anguish. Because when you find the creator of all your suffering, you find the key to all of your peace and happiness, because they're both woven from the same fabric and by the same weaver, which is our beliefs, our attitudes, our outlooks, and our perspectives. Those are the creators of our heavens and our hells. Until you dive deep within yourself and find out the origins of your creation, you're dancing like a puppet on a string to circumstance and fate.
Yeah.
Another quote by Carl Jung, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Now we're victims of the world. This makes me angry. This makes me sad. This disturbs me. This is killing me. No, you are killing you.
Yeah.
With your beliefs, your attitudes, your outlooks, and your perspectives. You are the sole creator of all your misery and suffering. But the beauty of that realization is that you are also the creator of all of your joy and peace and happiness. The question is, who or what is doing the creating? This is where you dive deep within yourself and become self-aware.
Yeah. Yeah, it cultivates the self-awareness.
Yes.
It absolutely does. Here's what I have found in my recovery and in my profession. Fear. Fear, y'all. I'm big on, there's so many things. Fear.
Yeah. And especially the fear that you cannot even see within yourself.
Yeah. Fear. Like, for example, if you've had a tough life or a tough upbringing and you've had difficult things, there are multiple levels of fear. For example, going and diving deep, to a lot of folks, terrifying.
Terrifying.
Fear.
The hardest thing a man can do is dive into his own soul.
Dude, here's what I want everybody to understand. You get the right people, you do it around the right folks. It is not hard to do. You will not feel weird. You do not look weird. You will feel normal. You will act like it is amazing when you can just start to uncover who you are.
Rumi, a 12th century Sufi mystic, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Yeah, man. And that's it. So if you're struggling today and, you know, maybe you think you like don't even want to exist tomorrow. Maybe you're just too like tired to go do this. Maybe you just want to cover back up, you know, or just roll back over and call off work or text and make up a lie. Like, reach out.
Ask for help.
And reach out. Ask for help. Reach out to me. Reach out to John. Reach out to, I don't even have my banner up here anymore, but reach out to me at focalflip.com or info@focalflip.com. Or if people have my number, contact us. You know, there's suicide prevention lines. There's all kinds of resources on my webpage under Coping Corner. People are here to listen. And there's a lot of them that are cool as hell. I'll just be honest. They're real cool. Some are not, but some are. It will help point you in the right direction. You know?
Albert Einstein, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it.
Yeah.
Ask for help. There should be no stigma attached to that.
Not at all.
There's no shame in asking for help.
No, not at all.
In fact, not asking for help can kill you.
Yeah. It absolutely can.
Yeah.
As soon as you just ask for help and you put those fears aside, you can start to dive in a little bit and you'll start to find calmness in the midst of maybe your chaos.
Right.
You will find that. And you may have nothing. You may be so far behind in debt and all this, you may have nothing. But you will find that calmness to where you will want to exist in the next hour or the next day. You'll find that.
In the middle of having nothing, you may realize you have everything.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right, brother. Let's wrap this one up.
Let's do it.
Love you, man.
All right.
I'm out. Okay. You ready to wrap this thing up?
If you like Focal Flip's videos, my dad's videos, go to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and like and subscribe to be updated.
I love it.